In just a few. My name is Abdi, Aziz, Hashim. Let me take you through the stories that are making headlines here in the country and beyond our borders. We start at the corridors of justice, where Ian Ngige Njoroge, the 19-year-old captured on a video assaulting a police officer along Committee Road, has been formally charged. Njoroge was charged at the Milimani's Magistrates Court for causing actual bodily harm, resisting arrest and a robbery with violence. He was also produced before a traffic court where he faced 3 counts of causing obstruction and carrying excess passengers. Ruth Wamboi with the details of the young man's ordeal.
This is the video that landed the first-year student at Technical University of Kenya in court. Tuesday, Ian was taken from one court to the other, where he was charged with 5 counts in total. Appearing before trial magistrate Ben Makehubi, Ian denied 2 counts of robbery with violence against a police officer, Jacob Ogendo.
And today I want to ask the court to remember there is a victim. Just because Yona is a police officer does not make him any less of a victim. Yona, these 3 days we are seeking, Yona, speak into the rights of the victim.
According to the prosecution, Njoroge is charged with robbing a police officer, a police communication gadget and a phone, Samsung brand worth 50,000 shillings. However, his defense counsels Duncan Okach, Kenneth Chesa and Vincent Lempa strongly opposed the charge of robbery with violence, saying the ODPP has applied a non-existent law in charging the young man.
He is a victim of state indolence, laziness, misconception of the law, and inefficiency in the police force. 2016 EKRL, Your Honor, declared Section 296(2) of the Penal Code as unconstitutional.
The best way to move the court, let them file a formal application saying that these charges before you are unconstitutional, and we will respond.
His counsels had argued that the accused had been tortured by the police and requires urgent medical attention.
Still young, still innocent, and the parents are in court, Your Honor. If you grant him, because it's not him who will be punished, it's the parents who will raise the cash bail.
Prosecuting counsels led by Virginia Kariuki and James Gashoka had applied for the accused to be held for 3 more days, but they were granted only 1 day.
I think it's tried to, and I think it's, you have rightly pointed out, without those cogent, very formidable grounds, the court cannot continue detaining the accused person. So let's wait until tomorrow we see that affidavit, and then we can argue the same tomorrow. So I'll not grant them the 3 days they have sought, I'll grant them only 1 day. So we'll come back tomorrow.
Ian Ngige Njoroge was also produced before a traffic court, where he denied the traffic charges before Senior Principal Magistrate Susan Nanzoshe. Despite being given a 60,000 cash bail by the traffic court, Ian Njoroge will remain in police custody until tomorrow, when the criminal court will decide on his robbery with violence offense bail application. Ruth Wamboi reporting from Milimani Law Court.
And from the Milimani Law Courts, let's head over to the corridors of the Augusta House, where the implementers of the maize flour subsidy program for the financial year 22-23 may have colluded to defraud the taxpayer over 7 billion shillings. This is according to the National Assembly's Departmental Committee on Agriculture and Livestock, following an inquiry on the program that was expected to reduce the cost of maize flour. In its report, the committee singled out the inconsistencies in the implementation of the program, which they concluded showed no value for money.
On the other hand, Honourable Speaker, only 17.85% of the maize flour that was produced by the Cereal Millers Association was sold directly to the consumers. This is what we were able to trace as a committee, in the sense that only 9.8% was sold through what we call the van sales, the marked van sales or the branded van.
So from our investigations, the designers of the program, which is the Ministry of Agriculture, the state actors, together with the large-scale millers, actually colluded to defraud this country of over 7.6 billion.
Speaker, this matter This main subsidy program was actually designed to steal public funds. And in a situation where programs are designed to steal public funds, I think as a House, we need to fast track the recommendation so that action is taken. When it came to matters of payment, Honorable Speaker, some millers were actually favored as opposed to others. And you wonder, in a public arrangement, why would one want to favor a miller in terms of payment and not pay others? To me, these are the issues, Honorable Speaker.
Now, the fluid nature of the proposals in the finance bill touching on the changes in taxes to money transfer services and insurance has irked stakeholders in the sector. The stakeholders who appeared before the Finance Committee to present their views on the Finance Bill 2024 cautioned the proposed increase in excise duty will scare away investors seeking to inject funds into the business, as well as create an unconducive environment for business operators. Various stakeholders kept their date with the Finance Committee seeking to add their voice on the proposed Finance Bill 2024. Here, they expressed their reservation on certain clauses in the bill, warning they will be counterproductive to the economy.
By increasing taxes year in, year out, I think you are causing profuse hemorrhage to private consumption. And private consumption is the engine of production.
So we will be the very first country in the world. We will be setting a record to actually be able to apply both excise and VAT on all financial transactions. And as I've explained, it goes to the very basics of the transactions that we do.
Why are we increasing tax when we are taking away essential services?
The Kenya Bankers Association took issue with the proposal to increase excise duty on fees charged for money transfer services by banks, money transfer agencies and other financial service providers from 15% to 20%.
The government has not been able to find a formula to actually be able to tax the informal sector. So when we push all Kenyans to informality, to cash transactions, we are complicating lives for the country, and I'll also mention that we are grey listed. So that makes life very, very difficult for us to get to the white list.
While on the other hand, lobby group Okoa Uchumi stated that despite the government's elaborate plan to increase the tax burden, they have not reciprocated the same energy towards the fight against the revenue leakages through corruption, illicit trade and money laundering.
And unfortunately, we've not seen very, very strong recommendations for how to reduce the theft, the corruption, the luxury.
And I agree with the stakeholders, what they're saying. We need to do better in terms of management, the predictability of our tax system.
The National Assembly's Finance Committee Chair, Kuria Kimani, assured the public their views will be considered, dismissing claims that the exercise was a public relations gimmick. And now further afield, Kenya and South Korea have signed a 63 billion shilling concessional development funding on the sidelines of the ongoing Korea-Africa Summit. This includes 30 billion shillings for the implementation of the Konza Digital Media City project. President William Ruto said the project will boost Kenya's digital ecosystem, a key government initiative aimed at expanding the digital and creative economy opportunities for the young people at the Konza Technopolis.
According to President William Ruto, the project will provide an excellent digital media and entertainment ecosystem for research, training and the propagation of new technologies. He commended South Korea for the Economic Innovation Partnership Program, which further supports Konza Technopolis. President Ruto implored South Korean President Yoon to fast-track the implementation of the Kenya-Korea Bilateral Labour Agreement. On his part, President Yoon committed to enhancing of the relations between Kenya and South Korea for the mutual benefit of the citizens of both nations. Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
Now, members of parliament want the government to recall admission letters issued to university students expressing concerns over the fee structure. The Committee on Education, in a meeting with the Higher Education PS Beatrice Muganda, the COOPS and HELP officials argued the fee structure failed to specify the capitation by government and what was expected to be paid by each parent. The legislators want the fee structure revised to itemize each cost as opposed to blanket figure.
The National Assembly Education Committee engaged the Higher Education Principal Secretary Beatrice Muganda on the new funding model for universities, which they argue is not practical. The MPs taking issue with the fee structure sent by government, calling for a recall of all admission letters.
Give us a proper fee structure and how you are recalling the other one. So that don't come next week telling us about how you want to do it. Come us with the solution so that when you'll be working on the placement, the mean testing, the loans and the funding equals to the household fees. And that is what we want from the parent. How much the parent is going to pay in semester 1, semester 2, semester 3.
I will direct universities to withdraw the letters.
Higher Education Loans Board Chief Executive Officer Charles Ringera disclosed they adopted a formula-based allocation criteria that takes into account each student's economic background. Under the new financing model, students from families whose income is below 6,000 shillings will enjoy 95% government financing as compared to those whose household income is in excess of 120,000 shillings, who will only get 60% of government support.
The letter from the admission letter from the university is saying, if you require funding, get on www.hef. But then it does not tell you what will that mean. That's what we were thinking. Maybe we can issue now an addendum to say that paragraph, we expand it and say this is how the fees will be calculated.
But students are being forced, for instance, science students. They probably wanted to go for medicine or engineering, but they're being forced to go for education science because they cannot afford that 600 and something thousand. Are you aware?
The lawmakers want the ministry to reconsider the previous funding model, where funding is pegged on the number of undergraduate students registered on regular program and the type of course.
Now to health matters, Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakhumicha has come under sharp criticism for allegedly failing to address the ongoing health workers' strike as the clinical officers' strike entered its 65th day today. Now clinical officers, lab technicians, environmental health and public health practitioners marched to Afia House and Parliament buildings to agitate for the rights. This comes as governors alleged mischief by the national government, accusing them of planning to take over the health function by failing to provide funds to counties in a timely fashion to provide health services.
For the 65th day in a row, clinical officers took to the streets of Nairobi, vowing to paralyze services in all health centers until their demands are met. Led by Kenya Union of Clinical Officers Secretary General George Gibore and their union's chair Peterson Washira, the officers accused Health CS Susan Nakhumicha of failing to address their demands.
Today we are here to fight for professional dignity. We are here to fight for professional respect. And that is why we have come out as all the health unions, because our people are being indignified.
The clinical officers held demonstrations at the Ministry of Health headquarters, where they were joined by lab technicians, environmental health and public health practitioners, and universal health coverage service providers.
We saw the Parliament allocate money for absorption of JSS teachers. Because their ministry, their TSC went to Parliament and sought for that money. Why didn't our CS go to seek for money?
This comes as the Council of Governors hit out at the national government, accusing it of a plot to revert health services to the national government by starving county governments of funds.
I think there is a deliberate effort to taint counties as being unable to run the health sector and therefore the push to bring it back to the national government.
And now to business news, where Kenya's total current official development assistance from development partners now stands at 2.6 trillion shillings, supporting 256 ongoing projects. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua says that despite this, there is a need for more coordination to improve fund absorption rates and project implementation timelines.
During the last Development Partnerships Funding (DPF) meeting held in November 2023, it was revealed that Kenya received a total of about 7 billion shillings in donor funding in 2022, but the absorption rate of grants remained low at 25%, while that of loans at 35%. Fast forward to today, the 2024 edition reveals that despite sealing loopholes, the absorption rate is still a concern, with loans at 62% and grants at 25%.
One is the historical issues that have to do with project design that result in change of scope. When you change scope, it means the project has to slow down a bit.
Already anticipating the idea that every project would need cabinet approval. I can say from the perspective of the United Nations, where we have literally hundreds of projects, the cabinet would be doing nothing else.
The official development assistance report indicates that 10-year projects have a disbursement rate of 61%, while those between 5 to 9 years are at 43%, and 0 to 4 years is 12%. However, Gachagua says multi-sectoral committees are focusing on eradicating issues slowing implementation of projects.
We have reactivated the joint sector working groups, which serve as collaborative dialogue forums on sectoral and thematic issues between the government, development partners, and non-state actors.
Beside coordination, development partners want the government to streamline project processes and match project needs with actual funding so as to address delays in implementation timelines.
We have the opportunity for an open and honest dialogue on what each party needs to do better to increase absorption rates and, most importantly, demonstrate results and impact in the lives of Kenyans.
The Development Partnerships Forum meets twice annually.
And now finally into the world of sports, where the National Rugby Sevens team head coach Kevin Wambua says the team is targeting to medal at this year's Olympic Games in Paris, France, after bouncing back in the World Rugby Sevens Series. Shujaa returned in the country on Tuesday to a heroic welcome after their feat in Madrid, where they beat Germany 33-15 to regain their core status.
Shujaa, who have already qualified for the Olympics, completed their season's aim by getting back into the series they were relegated from last season. Head coach Kevin Wambua, who masterminded Kenya's immediate return to the Elite Series, has now set his eyes on guiding Kenya to a podium finish at this year's Olympic Games in Paris.
It's very achievable, most definitely. Like you say, nothing is impossible. So again, those are conversations we'll have when we sit down, and we'll really focus and see what will help us achieve those, and we'll just work hard to achieve them.
After being relegated last year, Shujaa had to endure a qualification phase that included participation in the HSBC Challenger Series and the promotion playoff held in Madrid, Spain last weekend.
Able to have a few camps which really helped us enhance our tactical and technical knowledge. And just the rest, like I said, is all to the players. They had the heart, they had the hunger.
So we went back into the grassroots. We say that why not invest in the grassroots? And like rightly the coach has said, 3 seasoned players came on board, but then we took on board the National Sevens circuit, which became the Sportpesa Sevens.
Shujaa successfully went through the qualification phase and beat Germany in the promotion playoff to return to the series in 2025.
No, the generation that we are having is quite, let me say, haphazard. And you need to bring them collectively to work as a unit.
Just dream big, bigger than, bigger even to shock yourself.
Meanwhile, a sports principal secretary, Engineer Peter Toom, who led ministry officials in receiving the team, has reiterated the government's commitment to reward the team after its exemplary performance in Madrid.
We want to promise here to everyone that the government will continue giving that support that they want.
Shujaa now switches its focus to the Olympic Games with the Rugby Sevens scheduled from July 24th to 30th of this year in Paris. Bernard Okumu, Channel 1 Sports.
Congratulations are in order for our boys there, and of course we hope to win a medal in the upcoming Paris Games. Now, of course, that concludes our broadcast in terms of news. And now you're up to date, and of course we'll duly inform you in our subsequent bulletins. But don't go too far. My colleague Mike Mwigwi is on the other side of the studio. Will be coming up with crucial conversation when it comes to TVET institutions, and of course he will be talking to the taxman owing to the Finance Bill 2024, a raft of proposals that KRA has proposed in that particular bill. And finally, my colleague Vivian will be up next, of course, with environmental matters, with the government targeting to, of course, plant more trees by the year 2032. My name is Abdi Aziz Hashim. We're taking a short breather. Don't go too far.